Hey amazing parents, it's Dr. Lindsay here with this week's psychology-based parenting tips about family weekend picks and how to help you put an end to bickering over family activities. So the kids are back in school, working hard all week. Family fun really needs to be the focus on the weekend, but weekends fill up so fast. Birthday parties, sporting events, school carnivals, play dates, grocery shopping, chores, and home improvement projects. The list goes on and on. The more kids you have, the more complicated planning out the weekend can become. But even with just one kiddo and you and your partner's plans on top of that, planning out the weekend can feel more like solving a puzzle than looking forward to something fun. It becomes tricky to prioritize family time and help your kids each feel special and valued with such a busy weekend schedule. On top of that, if you have 2 or more kids, you know bickering can be a big factor in selecting activities for the weekend, from what you do, to what you eat, to what you watch. Bickering can take all the fun out of family time. If you're nodding your head and reliving painful memories of weekends past, get ready because I have a solution for you. I'm going to tell you about a strategy we've been using in our family for years called Family Weekend Picks that takes all the bickering out of family weekend planning and will help you to hone in on the most important activities for your family to avoid becoming overscheduled. Also, be sure to grab my free download called How to Take Control of Your Family Weekend Schedule. You can download this valuable guide at parentingwithpsychology.com/weekend. I'll pop that link in the description below this video for you. Okay, so here's what we did to eliminate the bickering over family weekend activities and to help us prioritize the must-do weekend activities while letting go of any that are not a priority. We set up a rotation from oldest to youngest, including parents, and assigned each family member a weekend. After that, we continuously cycle through the family again from oldest to youngest. For our family with 4 kids and 2 parents, that means that every 6 weeks, it's your family weekend pick. Using age order or a similar system is helpful in case you ever take a couple of weekends off for travel or guest visiting, and then you forget whose weekend pick it is next. Simply remember back to whose weekend pick it was last time, and then you'll know whose turn is up next. We decided as a family what group activities were most meaningful to us and made them a priority in our weekend scheduling. So in our family, on your weekend pick, you get to select first, a restaurant for us to dine out at or to get takeout from. Second, a family activity that everyone will participate in. And third, a family movie that we watch on Sunday afternoon for a fun and relaxing end to the weekend. Number 2 on that list, the family activity, is pretty broad because with 6 people's preferences, we wanted an activity to be able to include anything from ice skating to playing at the local creek, going to your favorite playground, or visiting a museum, or attending a local festival. The activities can also be things at home, like playing a game together, or organizing a family hot tub session, or playing tag together. Keep in mind that many of these are budget-friendly activities. There are limits to what each member of the family can choose for their family weekend picks to be able to keep up the routine every week. Now, your selections may be similar or quite different. Perhaps your family enjoys watching a sporting event on TV every weekend, or attending church together, or regularly volunteers together, or enjoys a weekly family game night. All of these activities can be great fun for families. When selecting family weekend pick activities, be sure to select the ones that you really enjoy doing every weekend and bring the family joy. What activities feel like quality time spent together, or things that everybody is bound to enjoy? 3 weekend picks is a magic number for us, but you might find that fewer or maybe even more works well for your family. This system is absolutely fabulous for eliminating bickering over family weekend activities, helping kids feel more important and valued, prioritizing spending time as a family on the weekend. You may be thinking, that all sounds great, but how does it help with getting control over a super busy weekend schedule? Family weekend picks help us to bring a focus to our weekly calendar. So here's what you can do when you sit down to plan out your family weekend. First, make note of any commitments that really must be held, like school plays, dance recitals, birthday parties that your child really wants to attend. Second, decide when you will fit in the 3 things that you have prioritized in your family to enhance family bonding and emphasize the importance of spending time together as a family unit. Third, everything else fills in the gaps, whether it's scheduling play dates or letting the kids know when it's okay to do screen time this weekend. Completing steps 1 and 2 will give you a much better picture of how your weekend's shaping up and whether you even want to schedule anything else or just keep it at that. This is one way to teach your kids to think of screen time as a bonus, not a required daily activity, something you fit in where nothing else is scheduled. Remember that some gaps for unstructured play can do wonders for fostering creativity and growth in your developing child. Here's a fun fact. Each of the 5 C's from my 5 C's parenting framework are integral to making family weekend picks a success for your family. Let's run through them, starting with communication. Decide on your family weekend picks. It certainly doesn't have to be dining out or movies. It could be a sport that you all play together, or a favorite musician whom you listen to during dinner, or a family member who you surprise with a FaceTime phone call. You name it. I know a family who developed a fun tradition similar to this during COVID-19, where they selected a different country each week to study, and on the weekend they prepared a meal representative of that country. Sometimes they would also play a game or a sport popular in that country. Just choose things that your family likes to do together and will help you feel like you're having a fun and relaxing weekend. I'd suggest sticking to 3 items to make it a special thing, but also keep time open for things like social events and school events. Be sure that you make weekend picks happen on each family member's weekend. If you're expecting visitors or traveling for a weekend, just skip that weekend and move on to the next family member on the next weekend that you're in town. Otherwise, be consistent about implementing family weekend picks. That way, you communicate to your children that family time is a priority. Family weekend picks also give the family something fun to discuss at the dinner table. We often start looking forward to the weekend on Wednesdays by asking the designated person if they know what they'd like to do for their family weekend picks yet. You're framing family activities in a positive way as a much anticipated event. Okay, now let's move on to consistency. Starting the family weekend picks tradition early and staying consistent with it is part of what will keep your family activities in your life for years to come. But how you talk about the experience makes a huge difference in keeping all the kids involved in family activities. As they get older and may have more social and sports activities with friends, you can find some kids asking to opt out of the family weekend activity. So what should you do if people say they don't want to do the activity? Encourage each family member to pick activities that most people will like. Or if there is an activity that you know one of the kids doesn't love, find ways to make it enjoyable as an experience for everyone. For example, one of my kids doesn't love going to the beach, but loves playing cards. So when a sibling chooses the beach for their outing, we always bring a deck of cards along to make it a fun activity that happens to also take place at the beach that day. Now remember, you've got to participate in other people's picks to ensure that you get to make the plans when your weekend rolls around. That reminder is usually enough to stifle any complaints, as everyone loves having their turn to pick. Moving on to choices and checkpoints. Kids this age are often wanting more and more control over their lives and their schedules. When my kids say things like, "Hey mom, when can we check out that new escape room downtown?" Instead of giving some vague answer like, "Oh yeah, sometime soon," I say that will be fun on your next weekend pick. Remind me ahead of time and I'll make the reservation. That response communicates that I'm hearing them, I'm excited about something that they're excited about, and I care enough to make sure that it really happens. It also gets them involved in the planning aspect and helps teach them patience. Having choices makes your kids feel more in control of their lives and like a more valued, integral part of your family. It also gives them something fun to look forward to in the near future. I'd love to hear in the comments what activities your family loves to do together on the weekend. Okay, consequences. Consequences are often thought of as negative, but they can be and often are positive. They're a reaction to an action you take. So family weekend pics provide an opportunity to show each family member love and support so that special family member that weekend has a good experience, and in turn, we all have good experiences on our designated weekend. So after each activity, we acknowledge the special person and thank them, like, "That was such a fun dinner out, Daddy. Great restaurant choice." Or, "What a great movie. Thanks for picking that, Susie." Each family member has their turn being in charge of the choices, which makes them feel special. Okay, last category is check yourself. There may be times when one or more family members aren't excited about a family weekend pic, and you must put your problem-solving skills to work. To some degree, it's good for kids to learn to go with the flow and make the most of a situation, but you want to balance that with the risk of them learning to think of family weekend activities as torture. So you can guide the designated family member when choosing their picks for the weekend, perhaps steering them towards an activity that the majority of the family would enjoy. You can also suggest modifications or additions to the activity to make it more appealing to everyone, as in the beach cards example that I mentioned earlier. An easy way to get people on board with the family activity is to offer a treat along with the activity. So with 3 boys who often choose more stereotypically boy activities and 1 girl in our family, the promise of a trip to Yogurtland after the family activity is often necessary to keep everyone happy. You will inevitably get some family members who try to skip out on the family weekend pick activity at various stages of development. We've always held that the activity and the restaurant trip are required, but if one of the kids doesn't want to watch the movie that's selected, that's fine. There's just no alternative screen time during that period. That option would really dismantle the whole family movie opportunity. So they usually end up watching with us anyway. Keep in mind that there may be other fun, partial family activities scheduled throughout the weekend, but there's one designated activity that everyone attends. This helps build the concept of your family as a unit that enjoys spending time together, not just separate members living together. This is also how you work around age discrepancies. For example, my oldest has gotten into playing airsoft, but the youngest isn't old enough to go to the airsoft field yet. So that becomes a fun big kid outing with Dad on my oldest weekend pick, and then he chooses another smaller activity for the whole family, like family game night or the family hot tub session. Okay, parents, here's the take-home message for this episode. As a parent, it can often feel like our weekends belong to our children's various activities. Whether it's soccer games, dance classes, or birthday parties, our schedules often revolve around our children's social calendars. That's why it's essential to take a step back and regain control of our weekends, prioritizing family time. That's where my free download comes in. I've created a guide called How to Take Control of Your Family Weekend Schedule that will help you and your family get the most out of your weekends without sacrificing quality time. You'll find the link in the description below this video, along with other free downloadable parenting resources. This system is a surefire way to minimize sibling bickering to maximize family fun. This week, get your family together and choose activities that you most enjoy doing together, whether it's dining out, local hikes, or snuggling at home with a movie. Start a rotation involving all family members and start making family time a priority. Family weekend picks are an example of how the 5 C's can be applied to everyday situations you encounter in your parenting practice. I like to sprinkle these episodes about the 5 C's as an overarching concept, with more focused episodes that cover the psychology-based tools that fall under each of the specific 5 C's categories. If you're new to the 5 C's, look in the description below this video to find more parenting resources, including a video about the 5 C's parenting framework, and a link to sign up for my weekly newsletter to be sure that you never miss new tips. Okay, amazing parents, that wraps up today's episode. Thanks for joining me to fill your parenting toolbox with psychology-based tools to feel more confident and capable in your parenting. If you found this video helpful, I'd invite you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more parenting with psychology tips. Join me next week to learn about the power of apologizing to your kids. In the meantime, check out my free resources listed below in the description and keep up the good work on your amazing parenting journey. Oh, and family weekend picks can include local events and activities, or they can be time spent at home, whatever sounds like most fun to the family member in charge for that weekend. So check out my Treasures Activities page at parentingwithpsychology.com/treasures and get inspired by some of our family's favorite activities. My weekly tips are also available to read on my website or to listen to on your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to connect with me more regularly and join the Parenting with Psychology community, follow Parenting with Psychology on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. I love hearing from you, so please leave a comment below and let me know how you've been using these tips in your parenting practice, or about any topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Finally, a quick legal disclaimer. Please note that the advice provided in this episode is different than therapy and does not serve as a substitute for professional psychological treatment or other types of professional advice or intervention. If you or your child have concerns or need further parenting or personal support, please contact a physician or other qualified local health professional. See you next week, amazing parents.